Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Live with Roger Hanson. We are here to discuss ancient history and history if you want to talk about it, because we'll eventually get to that. Today is my wrap up on Phoenician history. This is the 12th episode of my ancient history topic for my live stream. So we're going to move on from Phoenician history from this point to either Canaanite or Sumerian. Not quite sure because both are good. A lot of the stuff that was discussed with Canaanite is stuff that I haven't covered yet, and I have covered quite a bit with the Sumerians and the Assyrians and the Babylonians, but these deities I've never really tapped into. Hello, Karma. How are you? You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Now, before you got on, I finally announced everything. I got it recording now. Now, I was saying before, what I want to do is this is the 12th episode that we've got on here. So I want to wrap it up on the Phoenician part of what we've been doing and go either with the Canaanite or the Sumerians. You know what I mean? I wanted to discuss that with you on here and kind of have it go over some of the stuff that we covered that I know that we both like, you know.
Well, I'm just going to be able to listen today. I'm not going to be very active. I'm just going to be tuned in because I have a lot of stuff going on with the boys. But I wanted to make sure that I was still here for the support. And but I'll listen and I'll chime in whenever. I'm not sitting in front of an iPad. I'm not doing anything active as regards to like the
Okay.
stream. I'm like walking and I'm out and yeah. So, but I'm listening and I'll be
Now,
able to ask questions as they arise.
before you stop talking, though, let me ask you, which direction do you want to go? You want to go with the Canaanites or the Sumerians?
See, I prefer the Canaanites just because I feel
Okay.
like I've heard a lot about them in relation to what we're doing with Phoenician
Okay.
history. So it just, for me, I feel like it makes sense.
That's kind of where I'm going too. So
Cool.
that's unanimous. Then we go with the Canaanites.
Okie dokie.
All right. So with that being said, we are going to head in the direction of the Canaanites, and I like that too because there's in the past when I was doing the Sumerians too, and the Assyrians, the Amorites were brought up, and I got to hear a little bit about them, but the Amorites are also associated with the Canaanites as well, so maybe we can get more into that area as well before we head in deeper into history with the Sumerians and things of that nature. Now, there are a few things that did catch my eye, and I noticed it got Karma's attention too, and it was Cadmus and the Ormus and the beliefs that they had, and I can kind of read over some of that stuff and kind of go back on it. And the good thing about tonight too is it's Halloween, so this is the perfect time to really get into it. So with that, let me start the reading. I'll read about Cadmus. Let's see if everything's working out fine. Alright, so let's get this started. Okay, so here's Cadmus. And in Greek mythology, Cadmus was the legendary Phoenician hero and founder of Boeotian Thebes. He was alongside Perseus in Bellerophon, the greatest hero and slayer of monsters before the day of Hercules. commonly stated to be a prince of Phoenicia, the son of King Agenar, the Queen Telephassa of Tyre, the brother of Phoenix, Clix, and Europa. Cadmus traced his origins back to Poseidon and Libya. Originally, he was sent by his royal parents to seek out and escort his sister Europa back to Tyre after she was abducted from the shores of Phoenicia by Zeus. In early accounts, Cadmus and Europa were instead the children of Phoenix. Cadmus founded or refounded the Greek city of Thebes and Acropolis, of which was originally named Cadmea in his honor. He is also credited with the foundation of several cities in Illyria, like Botho and Lychnidis. In ancient Greek literature, the end of the mythical narrative of Cadmus and Harmonia is associated with Ukelele and Illyrians, a tradition deeply rooted among the Illyrian people. His parentage is also credited with the foundation of several cities in Illyria, like Botho and Lychnidis, however that's pronounced. And forgive my bad interpretation of these words too. I'm not Greek. In ancient
No, you're
Greek,
good. It's good. I mean, like, yeah. It's not like they're the easiest way. It's not like they're the easiest to pronounce, but go ahead.
in ancient Greek literature, the end of the mythical narrative. Wait. Yeah, I already know his. His parentage was sometimes modified to suit claims of Theban origin name. E.g., claims of Theban origin name his mother as one of the daughters of Nilus, one of Patami, and deity of the Nile River. Let's see. In Greek mythology, Nilus or Nilos was one of the Patami who represents the gods of the Nile River itself. So you can kind of see where it's blending into Egypt right there. Now, Cadmus was linked to this, basically. It's about Ormus. Now, I'm going to read some from the story of Ormus. The story of Ormus is said to be originated with the Baron de Westerode, member of the League de Philalethes. He is said to have gotten it from a source that claims it originated in Sweden. We first came upon it in Holy Blood, Holy Grail. When we did our research, we found it in Arthur Edward Waite's New Encyclopedia of Freemasonry. Later on, we found it again in the Brotherhood of the Rosy Cross. When we obtained our copy of Mackey's Encyclopedia of Freemasonry, we found it in there, as well as a couple of George Oliver D.D. Ann's works. Once we were able to obtain the authentic tradition, the authentic tradition was transmitted from the Dark Ages to the High Middle Ages fairly intact. It would probably be redundant to repeat the quotations we have already made regarding this, but repeat we may in order that it be clear what we are writing and that people do not mistake what we have to say. Starting then with the history of the legend itself in Waite's Brotherhood of the Rosy Cross. I will mention here one only of the more recent legends which may be said to have grown up within the order far down in the 18th century. It has obtained a casual vogue owing to the dissemination through Masonic channels in France. It postulates a founder of the Rosicrucians in a certain Amicius or Ormuz, and affirms that he was converted to Christianity at Alexandria by St. Mark AD 46. He is said to have purified the Egyptians' mysteries and married them to the new faith. His disciples followed their master, and with these as a center he established the Society of Ormuz, or of the Light. The sign of membership was a red cross worn on the person. Essenes and Therapte entered the ranks of this solidarity in which the Hermetic's secrets were preserved and transmitted. The Baron de Westerode has been credited with putting forward his fiction, he being an adventurer among secret societies derivative from Masonry about the period of the French Revolution. An obscure figure in the annals, I conceive him nevertheless to have been connected with one of those cliques which found shelter under the banner of Masonry, offering little distinction between Rosicrucian rites proper and the numerous obediences of the Rosicrucian grade in the rites in the old rite of perfection. These things merged into one another continually, or at least in the records concerning
Excuse
them.
me.
Yeah.
We spoke about Rosicrucians not too long ago. The Rosicrucian.
Yeah.
This is direct correlation, right?
Right.
Or am I hearing something? Okay.
It's
Because it
indirect.
just sounds like, yeah.
Yep. This is actually about the cult of Ormus, and
Yeah.
the court of or the cult of Ormus is supposedly supposed to be connected to the Rosy Cross, and they also call Rosicrucian.
Yeah.
Um,
I just
the-
remember because we looked it up and we saw the pictures of it, and that's
Mhm.
what I immediately pictured when you were talking. So I was just making sure I was hearing right.
Right. Now, the alleged Society of Ormus has been reflected into modern systems like the confused and unwielding Masonic rites of Memphis. It is a characteristic specimen of spurious traditional history to be met with everywhere in Masonry. It would be interesting to follow this curious fable further and identify the rite with which it may have been incorporated at first. Among English references, there is Kenneth Mackenzie, Royal Cyclopedia of Freemasonry, SVXXVIIPP 422 et Sec. 1900 to 1901. It produces some reasons for believing that Francis Bacon was a Rosicrucian, and leads us to this main subject in the manner following. The Order of the Rosy Cross claimed Ormus as its founder. It did nothing of the sort, and the Ormus favor was fathered on the order of the late period. Our note. Yes, but Arthur, we know what you wrote in your third order note, Re Falcon et al. That is, that indeed there was a third order operating in Germany, but you had to keep denying that to the public. Therefore, why not deny the obvious to the public as well? Like that there was a group of Upper Egypt that existed and combined the mysteries of Christianity and buried the scriptures so that they could be discovered in the 1940s, long after you died, and wouldn't have to deal with it. Yes, why not? Arthur Edward Waite has bungled the entire tradition, the which he was the sole legitimate hoaxtorian for. And Waits to the Lion, X-Lax, sorry, we're freshed out. Okay, so that's basically their note to it, and it sounds like they're from some crazy English country. It sounds like they're Scottish, maybe. If you guys understood that, great. If you didn't, I apologize.
Yeah, you kind of lost me at the end. I was like, what? What are we talking about? We're fresh out.
Yeah, it's talking about the Weights to the Lions. X-Lax, sorry, we're fresh out.
Yeah.
So,
that went over my head.
That was kind of weird. But anyhow, continuing.
X-Lax? It's like, right. It's like, what? No one X X-Lax here, but okay.
It was allied closely to the Knights Templar and or the Knights Companions of St. John of Jerusalem. Batista Porta in 1605 was chief of the Rosy Cross, who under cover of his comedies instructed initiates in things human and divine, not apparently under cover of his famous work in Magia Naturalis. Wickfield, Lolland, Chaucer, Dante, Petrarch, Becocco, Voltaire, Goethe, Lessing, Swedenborg, Mesmer, and Bohm are today openly acknowledged as brethren of the craft, by whom does not appear, but by those presumably who regard Bacon as a Rosicrucian and as the concealed poet of the Shakespeare plays. It is scarcely necessary to say that no particular evidence is produced in support of these statements. They are the vaporing and foolish dreams. Porta, for example, died in 1615, 1 year after the Rosy Cross made its public appearance on the stage in Germany. We may compare an essay of the Rosicrucians which appear in Theosophical Sifting Volume 3. All accounts are said to agree in pointing to the origin itself, into an origin outside Europe, in Oriental lands. They do nothing of the sort, and in fact, the Ormus fiction appears to stand alone. Now, Arno. Well then, was Damcar in Europe, or Fez, or Damascus, or Damasco? You may limit yourself, Arthur, but then we are well aware that you like to deny plenty which actually took place, if it give you grief to admit it. And I don't agree with their note, by the way, because like they're trying to imply that Francis Bacon was the original writer of Shakespeare. And don't get me wrong, I mean, he had the talent to write stuff like that, but you have to put his work side by side with Shakespeare to understand one man couldn't have written all of that literature from both people. You know what I mean? It's just impossible. Francis Bacon wrote a lot just on his own. He's also the one that came out with the New Atlantis, which I was talking to you about earlier, Karma. So, a lot of this has to do with what we've been reading when it's concerning the Neoplatonism and Hellenistic beliefs and how it affected the 1600s. The strange part about all of it is like Phoenician history was supposed to be missing and lost, but for some reason it got blended into the secret societies. So that's what really stands out to me about
And
that.
then
Go ahead.
then there was something else that right. No, it was just because, and then you think about how much we know about like Greek mythology, and then supposedly like that's where a lot of the information came from Greek accounts, which despite the fact that they were kind of enemies, I think that's interesting as well. And then finding out that it goes with secret society teaching, and for them
Mm-hmm.
to be quote unquote lost, more like secret. It sounds like you said, yeah. No, that
Yeah.
is interesting.
It's really interesting because, I mean, I'm not going to go as far as to say as the secret societies lasted all the way back to the mystery schools, you know, but they did retain a lot of the knowledge that was back there in those mystery schools. So that does seem pretty interesting, you know, and that sticks out to me. So let me continue here. Okay, it stands or falls on the authority of Thorey, who says that a letter by the Baron de Westerode is in the archives of the Philosophical Rite, that it was written from Ratisbon in 1784, that it was addressed to the head tribunal, that it contains the Ormus story, and that the story in question is described as received in Sweden, which may mean that it is a traditional history belonging to the Swedish Rite of Masonry, in incorporation of many elements, that according to de Westerode, the Rosicrucians came to Europe in 1188, an important date connected with Templar history, that 3 of the Adepti proceeded to Scotland and there established an order of Masons of the East. This legend is naturally set aside by Thorey. There is very little doubt that he had seen the letter of Baron de Westerode, and the present whereabouts of which are beyond speculation, as the archives of the Scottish Philosophical Rites were dispersed on February the 23rd, 1860. A catalogue was printed, but I have failed to obtain a copy. Baron de Westerode was on the council of the Rite of Philothes and was present at the convention of Paris summoned by the illustrious Masonic body. Now, why did he do this? This work originally came out in 1924, at the same time that the collection of Masonic articles of his own compiled together under the name Emblematic Freemasonry. Okay, hold on. At the same time that a collection of Masonic articles of his were compiled together under the name Emblematic Freemasonry. In there he speaks of the Knights of the Morning and of Palestine. Shoddy's legend and writes there in his new encyclopedia about the Thebaid Solitaries, about the knights who were contacted by them, who went back to Europe, about the depositing of a sacred treasure in the crypt of the three kings of Uppsala. We see in the legends already quoted at the beginning of the part 4 of book 2 pertaining to the gold R plus C snipped remnants of the story. So that is Ormus, and Ormus is actually an old Greek cult that or actually Phoenician cult that was started, and then it was incorporated into the Greeks, and the Greeks actually created a mystery school out of it, just so people know. And these are writings that were supposed to connect the Rosy Cross and the Rosicrucian together with these mystery schools, which I wouldn't do on my history topic, but it is Halloween and I thought it was cool to discuss. Plus
No, I think you picked a good one.
Yeah.
And it leads into tonight's show on Pirate Radio that I'm sure you're going to be at, right?
I believe so. What time are they doing it?
Well, same time.
11
o'clock. Yeah, well, 11 for me. But yeah, same time. I'm only going to be able to stay for a bit. I have a show tonight myself. But I'll be there for a while.
Now, another thing that I wanted to bring up too was the Judgment of Solomon. Now, a lot of people aren't aware of that either, but the Judgment of Solomon is a story from the Hebrew Bible in which Solomon ruled between two women who both claimed to be the mother of a child. Solomon.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, right. And the one lady was like, he was like, well, look, if you're not going to be able to tell, the one lady's baby died in the middle of the night. And then after the baby died in the middle of the night, she stole the other lady's baby. The other lady knew it was her baby. And so the king was like, yeah, look, this is what I'm going to do to find out. Just so that way y'all both can have the baby, since no one really knows. I'm going to split the baby in half. And the girl that stole the baby was like, okay, cool, split the baby in half, knowing that would kill the baby. But the mom was like, no, she can have it because it's her baby. She wanted to keep it alive. Right? That's the story?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that story is so dope because I think about that just like with the life. How many times people will kill something in order for them to say they have a part of it, as opposed to allowing it to live in its fruitfulness and its divinity. So that story is always in my head because people do that a lot. They'll kill the kid before they let the rightful owner have it,
Right. Solomon ordered that the baby be given to the second woman, as her love was selfless. as opposed to the first woman's selfish disregard for the baby's actual well-being. Some consider this approach to justice as archetypal. The concept of an archetypal appears in areas relating to behavior, historical psychology, and literary analysis. Now, um, some consider this approach to justice as archetypal example of an impartial judge displaying wisdom in making a ruling. Now, the biblical narrative is in 1 Kings 3:16 to 28. It recounts that two mothers living in the same house, each the mother of an infant son, came to Solomon. One of the babies had been smothered, and each claimed the remaining boy as her own. Calling for a sword, Solomon declared his judgment. The baby would be cut in two. Each woman would receive half. One mother did not contest the ruling, declaring that if she could not have the baby, then neither of them could. But the other begged Solomon, "Give the baby to her, just don't kill him." The king declared the second woman the true mother, as a mother would even as a mother would even give up their baby if that was necessary to save its life, and awarding her custody. The judgment became known throughout all of Israel as and was considered an example of profound wisdom. So that was something that I wanted to bring up there. And I wanted to find more when it came to Ordius or whatever it was, but there really wasn't much that I could pull up on it. I probably could have dug into it a little bit more, but I figured it would be something that would be good to mention and everything. And like I said, I just wanted to let everybody know that we are going to stop with the Phoenicians, and then me and Karma just discussed it. We're going to start discussing the Canaanites, because with me, I think that if we go from the Phoenicians to the Canaanites, it's going to show kind of like a direct connection on how the Phoenicians and the Canaanites and the Egyptians were influenced by older lore and older deities, gods and stuff like that. So it's kind of interesting. And like I said, I have noticed the Amorites and a lot of the stuff that we've been discussing, plus some stuff that I've checked out before I even started doing these streams with the Sumerians. So that's an aspect that I'm going to have to look at right there. So hold on.
And then we can tie the Sumerian and the Canaanites history, because I feel like they have a closer connection than than the Phoenicians and the Sumerians. Even though they do have a connection, it's all interconnected. But I feel like going here with the Canaanite, they probably are like the extension branch, like Phoenicia is on his one side, and then Sumerians on a different side. Canaanites kind of in the middle, both all stemming, which kind of creates them in the form of like a triangle, to where they're interconnected, even though that they have different points. So it'll be good once you start doing the Sumerian history, just based off of what I've been learning with you guys.
So, kind of give us a little feedback on what you're saying. For a second, I got to come out here and talk to my mom real quick. So, just kind of give some feedback and the way you've seen what we've been going through and what direction we're going to be taking. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, what I was just saying is we've been learning a lot about Phoenician history and how it ties into a lot of other cultures. There are a lot of different cultures in regards to some of the deities that we learn about in Phoenician history that kind of interact and overlap in different cultures. So with the Canaanites and the Phoenicians seem to be very interconnected, and so as well as the Sumerians and the Canaanites. So I think it's kind of cool that we have this type of opportunity to use the Canaanites in the middle as being able to see where they are, their roles in history, different stories that are being told, and then be able to kind of outbranch again to where we're going to Sumerian history, because they're all kind of forming, like I was saying, a triangle to where it would probably be Canaanites at the top, and then you have Sumerian history on one side, and then you have Phoenician history on the other, and they all also have a line drawn to them as well, but all both stemming towards the Canaanites. But that was that. Also, too,
Yeah.
there's a lot of Egyptian culture that's tied into the Phoenician history. Like, in general, every single culture seems to kind of go back towards the Egyptian history, where we really should attempt to get into at some point, because, like, even Greek culture, the gods they overlap. Like, we talk a lot about Thoth and in Tawatis and just different, even in Sanatrinathan, like even with his role where he's in Phoenicia, but we also hear him and a little bit of like the Greek I don't want to say mythology, but like Greek history as well too. Roman history, that's probably better than Greek. Yeah. So that's something I think is neat.
Yeah, I really want to. That's one reason why I want to follow the Canaanites, because that Thoth thing, or Toth,
So
to,
yeah, talk to Tawatis, the T
ha,
boy.
Tawatis is probably what I'm just gonna start calling them, because, but
Tawatis is the easiest way to pronounce it,
yeah,
and for whatever reason, it seems the most legit.
yeah,
Like Toph doesn't seem legit to me. Tawatis just keeps standing out. Like, this is my name. Like him, almost him saying this is who I am, and then this is where they got this from, and this, I don't know. It's just crazy because I know Toph from studying previously, but I still hear him saying, or I still hear this a reoccurring voice saying Tawatis, 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 and I just
hmm,
learned Tawatis through you. And like, but every time I go and I connect and relate towards him, it's always Tawatis. It's never Toad.
yeah, and like there's actually three kingdoms in the Egyptian history. You know what I mean? Like, and T- Tawatis was only a part of that last kingdom, the third kingdom. So it it ended up migrating to Egypt somehow, and that's where I really want to get it, because you always hear people. Well, see, even I fell under this impression that like the Greeks came down and learned about Tawatis and brought them back to Greece, you know. But now we're learning that it was the other way around. It was actually Tawatis was integrated into the Egyptian pantheon. It wasn't the other way around, you know. So that that's something that I find pretty interesting. I didn't know that before, and I'm glad we did the Phoenician, uh, to be honest, because this is the one area that I really wanted to get into. And like, if you go and you watch old history, ancient history videos like I do, not too many people come out with the actual Phoenician stuff. It's always got to do with the Assyrians or the Sumerians or the Babylonians or the Egyptians. They'll even go into Greek, but they never say anything about the Phoenicians or uh, like the Urartu. I'd love to hear more about them, but you just don't hear about it. And Mithra, I want to hear. Mithra is probably the most amazing cult belief that they had back then when it came to ancient stories and stuff.
Mithra, can you elaborate? How do you spell it? First of all, is it Myth then
It,
Ra, so
it's
ERA or
it's Mirtha.
oh
Now,
Mirtha, not
yeah.
Myth. Okay.
Now that kind of goes the other direction from where we're going. With the Canaanites, it goes north. And actually, it might blend down into the Greek and the Phoenician histories too. That's probably deeper, going farther back in that direction. But it's also connected to Zoroastrianism and Mithra. Back whenever Persia was actually being formulated, it was coming together as Persia. They incorporated Cyrus is actually the one who incorporated his father's kingdom, which was farther north from what's present day Iran, and he actually went into what's considered Iran today, and he created, or he was able to join a lot of the tribes in that region together to create the Persian Empire. But it's a pretty interesting story. And Afghanistan used to be a part of Persia too, and then it split off. So it's a lot of people don't understand that, because Afghanistan was actually it broke away from Persia so far back that people don't even realize that they once were the same country or the same kingdom.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So Parisians and Afghanistan, that's the same?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
At one time they were, but Zoroastrianism split up, and the best way to say it is that the Hindus and the Buddhists, especially the Buddhists, they originated out of Zoroastrianism. They didn't agree with their teaching, and they split away, and that's how we ended up with Buddhism. And they have video footage of historical documentaries where they show Buddha with red hair and Caucasian, and it's been desecrated because people over in the Middle East didn't like seeing a Caucasian face on Buddha, so they didn't like that, and you find it all over that area. And they've got old mummies that are buried and petrified under the ground. Some of them have red hair, and they're taller than the average Asian in that area. That's some of the cool stuff that I think we should get into too later on. But that all starts because of Mithra, believe it or not. That's the cool stuff. Did any of that make any sense to you? Oh, she'll be back. But yeah.
Oh, I was talking to you. I didn't know I was muted, but I was like, yeah, it makes good sense. And then especially what you're saying about how they kind of discredit or sweep certain type of histories under the rug and stuff like that, where I guess they focus on the ones that they correlate or connect to. And then you were talking about the Buddha having the red hair and the face of a white man, which kind of pissed the Asians off. Not even say it like that. But
well, it's basically the truth. And like when I'm talking about Asians, I'm not talking about like Afghanistan. Well, maybe a little bit of it, but like I'm talking about like people in China and people in Thailand and countries like that. You know what I mean? Especially in India. Indians had a real hard time with that. They don't believe that India was invaded, and that's how they ended up getting their Vedas and their religious beliefs, because they believe that it all started right there in India.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. They have a real hard time with it. And something
But
that,
India and Asia are like so closely connected. I don't think people realize, like, even when we talk about like Asiatic people being like the original people, they are like a mix of Indian and Asian and African.
yeah, and like in history, there's certain mysteries too that don't have answers to it. Like Genghis Khan, he was a conqueror, and he conquered every area he could get a hold of.
Must
When
God bless you.
but
You're welcome.
when he made it to the borders of India, he stopped and turned around. He refused to invade India. Why would he do that if he didn't have some kind of connection there?
Right, right, right.
You know,
Mhm.
that's Genghis Khan, and he didn't have sympathy for
I heard him
anybody.
before. Why do I know this name, Genghis Khan? Khan, obviously. Why do I
Hmm.
know him? I just read about him in something that I read, but I don't know where I read him.
Have you ever heard of the Great Horde or the Golden Horde?
I think he's in my Power of the Soul. Actually, honestly, I think in my Soul series book is where I know of Genghis Khan from. But no, I didn't hear about what you're talking about. Dr. Shah has a Soul series, Power of the Soul healing series, and that's where I know his name from. And that's interesting. That's crazy. That's
Hmm.
interesting.
But that was one of the things that a lot of people don't really know, like the story behind Genghis Khan and the the situation there. So now, when it comes to the Canaanites and everything, I'm gonna go back over a lot of the stuff that we have set up or that we've already gone through, and I'm gonna point out um, or pull out the information that we got from our research, and we can go along those and try to stick to that story because I think that's going to send us in a better direction if we do it that way. You know,
Okay.
because we came across a lot of good stuff. Like when they were talking about the Assyrians and the Sumerians, they were mentioning first of all, it was the mermaid goddess that was supposed to be kind of like a Phoenician version of Isis or Ishtar. I mean, and then what was it last week or the week before? The rainbow goddess. I think that's cool. So.
Yeah, and the Rainbow Goddess, and how we were talking about even the Mermaid Goddess too, and just connections to like
Hmm.
the same kind of entity. And then I think there was one that was like a snake.
Hmm. You know, on the walls of Babylon, that the unicorn was on there, right?
No,
Hmm.
that
They had the unicorn on the walls of Babylon
in a movie, or you mean like in
in
actuality?
real life. I mean,
Hello, what
like
say?
old the old city of Babylon.
Pegasus. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a unicorn or Pegasus. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. I'm listening.
So,
We're listening.
well, since I wanted to wrap up the Phoenician part, man, I think we should bring it to an ending here in a minute. Kind of be done with it, and we can start fresh with the Canaanites in the next one.
That
So,
that'll work so great for me because I'm about to run out the house again, and
okay.
I have to pee and stuff before I do that, and then it's like I hit the phone. Yeah, I know. I'm like my politically correct. Imagine me being your president. Like, yeah, hold on, guys, I gotta pee. Like, no, Mrs. President. Excuse me, man, please. I have to be excused to go to the restroom. Like, I know the proper, but I guess I've
That's
gotten
fine.
lackadaisical with the proper. But yeah, if you don't mind, excuse me, correme, me sama.
But
And
yeah,
so yeah.
is there anything you want to say before we get off here?
Summer emailed me back, so I'm gonna set up something with her. I haven't because she emailed me last night. I feel like I was in the middle of my show, but if I wasn't in the middle of my show, I didn't see it till after my show. So I'm gonna hit her back. I have a interview with Bob Dub coming up on Friday after our evening show, so it'll be like 7. our time. So I'm gonna require some assistance from you to get everything
Okay.
set up in order for me to be able to start recording on my own, so I don't have to ask my interviewees to record for me.
Okay.
Shout out to old John. Our interview is up as well. He's gonna be posted on his channel. Like I said, I have a show tonight. I have a time for you at 1:11, and so excuse me, 11:11 at 1, excuse me, 11:1 at 1:11. We'll have 1:11 all the way around the board. So I'll
Okay.
do that. My shows haven't been too long lately. I have a time frame as to when I plan to stop. And what else is that? Like I'm not. I don't want to say I'm behind. It's just like all this stuff kind of hit me from left field. It
Yeah.
kind of came out of the clear blue for me all of a suddenly. And I'm just attempting to kind of readjust in accordance because I'm very grateful for the opportunities to be able to like just meet people, like meeting you guys, meeting Jaffe, meeting, you know, we got a tag team Tan. And he's not going to get us off the hook. He's not getting off the hook that easy. He wants us to do a double. If we're doing a double, he's going to have to put in 2 good whole hours, two, maybe 3 hours. So Tan, I know you like to listen on live stream. If you're listening, we're coming for you, man. We're coming for you. I think we should incorporate that on Friday's roundtable,
Yeah.
and yeah, we can kind of get them there, and then we'll see how that goes, and you can send me a link for mine, and I can get that. That'll be three. That'll be Bobbed Up. That'll be Summer, and that'll be Tan. And like I said, we already have Old John, and we already have um Disney Magic Zach up. So yeah, let's keep getting. And your interview, you're gonna have to. When are you gonna do this with me?
You,
Tomorrow.
we can set it up whenever you want to. I'm ready to go when you are. So just let me know. All right.
Okay, so it'll probably be tomorrow, Thursday. I'll let you know for
Okay.
certain within the chats, because for whatever reason, Thursday keeps sticking out in my head. I don't know why it keeps sticking out. Cause I think it's tomorrow, Thursday. But Thursday, I know I have the basketball. So I don't know why I want to do it on Thursday, but today's my last show until the 11th. So I'll have some content in the middle if I do my interviews and I schedule accordingly, because I only do it with the sync. So I
Yeah.
might have one on the 7 though, because 11/7, even though it's not 7/11, 11/7 is still significant. But the whole month of November is technically synchronicity because it's 11, 11/1, 11/11, 11/2, 1/12, 1/13, 1, all of it. But everything is sync actually 2, 3, 4, 3. But we don't have to do all of that. But that's
Hmm.
that, and good stream, and yeah, I look forward to being
Now,
better suited for our
I've also
endeavors.
got. I've got also guys. Are you okay with starting Old Men Talking on the 7th?
Yeah, that's fine. Is that a Monday though? I didn't think that
That's
was a
on
Monday.
Tuesday.
That's a Tuesday. Okay,
Yeah.
Tuesday at 6 a.m. Yeah, 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 yeah. So far, I am. Yeah, yeah. I'm good. I'll be good.
So
And
so that's gonna be 6 o'clock your time, 5 o'clock my time, right?
okay,
And because I believe that's 11 o'clock John's time, so it'll be 5 o'clock Central Daylight Time, 6 o'clock Pacific, no Eastern Daylight Time, and then 11 a.m. Not p.m. on any of them, but 11 a.m. British Standard Time. Yeah, so that's going to be Karma's show. She's going to be the host. Me and John's going to be on the panel. It's about old men talking. That good?
I apologize. I'm hitting. Yeah, that's great. I was
All
just
right.
listening to John too. He said that he went to another spiritual church, and I was just reading and attempting to multitask. But I gotta go because I have
All
like,
right.
yeah, I definitely will check you out tomorrow. And like I said, I'll let you know when I'm ready for you guys. We're ready for you anyway.
Okay.
All
And
right.
I will see you later.
All right. Thanks for everything. Have a good night. Be safe.
You too. And just so everybody knows too, me, Mark Worthington, and maybe Tan if he wants to. I don't know if he can show up or not, but me and Mark Edworthy or Medworth on Minds are going to be doing the first show for Thursday. No, Wednesday, and it's going to be at 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time, and that'll be at 4 o'clock p.m. British Standard Time. It's going to be Roger's Real Time Talk Show where we talk about current events, politics, stuff like that. I don't want it to be called news because that's not what I'm wanting to do with it. It's going to be it will be about politics and stuff like that, but I refuse to call it any kind of news because I don't want to get into that category. So if you guys want to show up for that, you're more than welcome to. And with that, I think we have everything covered. Things are getting pretty interesting. Tonight we are going to possibly be on pirate radio. I'm not quite sure. All depends on how all that's working. So with that being done, I am going to get off here and thank you guys for showing up, and happy Halloween.